All right, hello, and welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about EPCAL again. We have some news regarding that, and it's not good, of course. And we're going to go over also, if I can, the meeting, if I can find it online, the meeting that at March 8th that I spoke at about, and you'll hear some of the. We're going to look at some of the maps, and we're going to look at all that. But first, we're going to talk about the latest news here, obviously, and this is just a couple of days after I went and hiked there again on Monday. Absolutely beautiful area. How could you think of even selling this to a developer? I mean, what is wrong with the town of Riverhead? So this is the article here. Riverhead local town board approves transfer of 2,100 acres in Calverton Enterprise Park to Riverhead IDA. So they're trying to get around some of the regulations that the DEC put. So it says transfer intended to expedite $40 million sale of 1,644 acres to 555 affiliate. The Riverhead Town Board today approved transfer of the town's land holdings inside the Calverton Enterprise Park to the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency, pursuant to an agreement reached between the town and its contract vendee, 555 affiliate Calverton Aviation and Technology. Riverhead is in contract to sell 1,644 acres of vacant industrially zoned land in the Pine Barrens, I should say, to Calverton Aviation and Technology for $40 million. The contract was approved by the town board in December 2017 and signed by the town in November 2018. In November 2018, after a year-long vetting process resulting in a qualified and eligible determination as required by state law. Closing of the contract, a deal controversial from the start, has been delayed by the town's inability to move its state Department of Environmental Conservation permit applications forward. The transfer to the IDA was proposed by town officials as a make-or-break measure for the deal that they say will either bring it to fruition or get the town out from under the contract. The town board voted unanimously today to approve the transfer of 2,100 acres of land, 1,644 acres of which are currently under contract with Calverton Aviation and Technology, and to make a joint application with CAT and the IDA for benefits to induce the redevelopment of the site by CAT. If the IDA approves the application for benefits, both the town and CAT will enter into a lease and project agreements with the IDA that town officials say will require CAT to complete the intended development plan required by CAT's contract with the town. The lease and project agreement between the IDA and CAT would additionally shift the burden of obtaining subdivision and other approvals to CAT at CAT's expense, according to town officials. So they want to shift the burden of dealing with the DEC to the developer. If the IDA approves the joint application, the balance of the purchase price due to the town under $40 million contract will become payable to the town according to the terms of the resolutions approved today and the accompanying letter agreement between CAT and the Riverhead Community Development Agency, the town entity that holds the title to the land at the Enterprise Park. Today's actions come during a pair of special meetings at Town Hall, one held by the Town Board and the other by the Riverhead Community Development Agency, of which the Town Board is the governing body. Identical resolutions and accompanying letter agreements were unanimously by a board at both meetings held back to back this morning. The approvals came over the objections of community members and civic representatives who sought both rejection of the resolutions and tabling of the measures to allow additional consideration and public input. Residents objected to the vote taking place at 9:30 a.m., a time they said when most residents couldn't attend a meeting either in person or virtually. Yeah, they really did sneak this in, I'll tell you. But they want to do this on purpose, you know. They don't want to hear from us. The resolutions were originally going to be acted on, and they don't care. They're going to do what they want. The resolutions were originally going to be acted on at the March 16th meeting, but the vote was put off because two members of the board weren't able to attend. Supervisor Yvette I Hate Trees Aguiar said at the meeting, I'm just kidding, but said at the time that all board members should be present to vote on a matter of such importance, and she scheduled a special board meeting for this morning prior to the regularly scheduled town work session to take up the measures. Today, Aguiar responded to criticism about the vote at a special board meeting, saying that the public was given opportunity to voice their opinions and have their questions answered at an evening forum held March 8th. That's the one I was at virtually, as well as the March 16th town board meeting, where residents were invited to speak on the resolution, even though it would not be voted on that night. We had a 3-hour forum, the supervisor said today. Every question was answered. No, they did not answer my questions. As far as what areas would be preserved, they would not. We continue to have an open process. Wing River Civic Association President Sid Bale pressed the board to table the resolution to no avail. I don't understand why more time was not given to the public to review this resolution, Bale said. It would have also made sense to have this resolution available at the March 8th forum, Bale said. The resolution and letter agreement were not released to the public until after the forum, which officials said was held to explain the process and answer questions from the community. Bale's sentiments were echoed by others who addressed the board. Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition President Phil Barbato said there is nothing in the resolution or letter agreement that prevents CAT from subleasing the site after it obtains title following a final subdivision approval and selling it to another entity. So please, can someone of you on the town board please explain to us in plain, non-legal, non-technical English how this new scheme is better than the existing one? Barbato asked, referring to the existing purchase agreement with CAT. To us, it appears to be a complicated extension of this long, non-productive road to nowhere, a 5.5-year blockage in our journey to economic development. So I'd appreciate it if you would explain it so we can understand it, he said. And the supervisor just replied, anyone else? Former Councilwoman Barbara Blass followed Barbato to the podium and inquired about language used in the resolution and letter agreement. She wanted to know why the measure did not terminate the contract of sale outright should the IDA deny the joint application for benefits. Instead, it says the town will have the right to declare the underlying contract null and void. That really leaves the door wide open for this situation to continue, Blass said. It really doesn't accurately reflect the position that was publicly stated that under no circumstances would CAT be allowed to come back to the town of Riverhead, Blass said, referring to a statement made by Aguiar in an on-air interview on local radio station WRIV last month. I think you mentioned not on my watch. That kind of leaves that open, and I'm wondering why you would agree to such a wishy-washy language instead of terminating the deal immediately, Blass said. Aguiar then called the deputy town attorney, Anne Marie Prudente, to the podium to answer. Prudente said termination of the contract requires a legislative act that cannot be predicted in advance. We cannot forecast what the vote would be with respect to a resolution in the future. The town board would have to vote on it, she said, and the vote cannot be predetermined. Blass also questioned provisions in the resolution concerning preservation and maintenance of the approximately 1,000 undevelopable environmental sensitive acres sold to CAT. So some of it has been designated as preserved, but again, they wouldn't answer with the areas that I was describing in there, because according to the maps I've seen, the areas that I am showing you in the 2 videos I made there won't be preserved. Is CAT going to be responsible for maintaining those acres during the lease term prior to acquisition? What is the legal mechanism and nature of the financial commitment required to maintain those lands in perpetuality, she asked. Blass noted that the town's victory in a lawsuit challenging the State and Department of Environmental Conservation's regulations governing the incidental take of threatened and endangered species nullified regulations adopted in 2010. Who then will be responsible for the oversight of the preservation and maintenance of the sensitive habitats under these new circumstances? The IDA, she asked again. The IDA has no business owning Pine Barrens, all right? Blass asked whether covenants in the contract of sale requiring CAT to execute documents and at closing be executed and binding when the lease and project agreement are signed. These questions were not answered. The board approved the resolution 5-0 in 2 votes, one during the town board meeting and the other during the CDA morning. Councilman Robert Kern voted yes without comment. And I'm not even going to read what these people say here. It's all about money. It says the taxpayer of Riverhead has spent a huge amount, thousands of dollars on trying to secure this property and move it forward, and ultimately it has not worked. Well, this is why the state should come in and purchase the land and add it as a park. All right. We have also lost millions of dollars to our tax base, and we cannot address rumors in people's articles and newspapers and so-called attacks on the purchaser. So she's trying to defend the 555 group, and then she goes on to say, I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure those 1,000 plus acres are preserved forever. It will be done through covenants. It will be done through aggressiveness, research with attorneys, and I'm sure every member here on this board agrees with me. And that is the goal, she said. But if she was really concerned about the environment, she would call this whole thing off, all right? You know, I mean, I know they're worried about legal things, but you know what? The trees, they don't care, man. The trees don't care. They don't want to be murdered by bulldozers, all right? And the Riverhead town needs to say, that's it. Obviously, I know the bottom line is the town cannot afford to have a park this big. So they should approach the state and have the state take over and turn this into a state park, all right? Which I'm sure the state would go along with, all right? At least I hope they would, all right? And that's what should be done, all right? So I'm going to see if I can find find the meeting on video and explain my interaction with them. And again, show you the maps. Once again, to show you that they would not answer, would this area here, the area that I walked in, the area that we're going to look at on the map right now, they would not give me an answer on whether this area here would be preserved. That's the area we walked in, right here. All right, this area right here. They would not give me an answer on this. And when you look at the map, it shows this area being ruined, all right? They're just looking at money. That's all they care about is the money. This is, when you've seen both videos there, you've seen me walk there, it is extremely important that this area be preserved. It's a key part of the Pine Barrens. Any disturbance here, they said, I read somewhere they want lights so they can play night games at the Veterans Memorial Park over here. That's the last thing we need is bright lights shining in the middle of the Pine Barrens. The town is completely out of touch with reality, and I think it's time that the state of New York or Suffolk County say, that's it. We are not going to let this happen. We are going to preserve this land. If this was New Jersey, that's what would have happened. But no, because we are on Long Island, nobody really seems to give it you-know-what about the Pine Barrens except me and a group of people. And more people care more about money than about the Pine Barrens. So let's go, and I'm going to try to see if I can find it. So I was able to find the video from the meeting, and I'll link it below, and you can listen to it. I'm going to try to find my clip, but I want to play some other things before we get to that, and explain to you what they were saying. And they were basically saying here that when the federal government gave them this land, that they had to preserve the jobs that were lost when Grumman closed. All right, so this is an agreement that's years and years old that the federal government doesn't even really care about anymore. All right, so let's listen to what he has to say.
And the resolution.
And I'll just add, some of you I know have been following the process for years, even before there was a resolution and a fully executed agreement of sale back in November of
Do these look like people who care about the Pine Barrens? No.
So early on in the process, and even after the agreement was signed, there were numerous conversations on the record between the then town board, the next town board, and the existing town board about the desire for community benefits to result from the large-scale industrial project.
So they want a large-scale industrial project in the Pine Barrens.
One of those, actually, several of those discussions talked about the ball field lights early on, and several
ball field lights in the Pine Barrens at night. Think about it. How is that even allowed? There are owls, there are birds there. This would never fly in New Jersey.
Past members of the town board sat in front of all of you and on camera and expressed their desires to have those benefits. The current town board equally expressed that desire. And so those terms were negotiated to proceed, if the town board determines to do so, with a joint application to the IDA.
And just for clarity, the way the question was written, it implied that the $1,500,000 was for the lights. That's not accurate. The lights, whatever they cost for the 4 ball fields, are being installed at the cost of, by
That's
CAD,
correct.
at their cost. The $1.5 million that appears to be referenced here, I assume is the sum that they will be required to pay at the point where they have built out 500,000 square feet of commercial industrial structures.
500,000 square feet of commercial industrial structures in the Pine Barrens. This is, you gotta remember, 3/4 of the Long Island Pine Barrens is gone. And here we are, we're still destroying. It's unbelievable. So let me find my comment here. I'm going to have to look for it. A lot of the people that was speaking
Came up since I've arrived.
weren't even talking
So
about the environment.
One of the things people keep bringing up is this lease term. So I just want to rephrase the question, and maybe we can get an answer that's satisfactory.
That's my radiator in the...
To everybody that way.
So this woman is concerned about the terms of the lease. All right? Nobody's talking about the environment. So let's see. I got to find where I show up in here. But hold on a second. We're going to find... You can see how much time they spend on these other people. I got to find where I'm at here. But we'll just give me a second here. Hopefully they did not edit me out. So we're already 1 minute and 35.
Do that if the CAT is in agreement, which they seem to be in agreement to do.
They are not in agreement to that.
But they're in agreement to do it through the IDA?
Correct.
And is there a reason for that?
I can't speak for them.
Okay, and then a couple other things. With the IDA, I know, Ms. Dicey, you've said in talking about this that it will put the property back on the tax rolls. You've talked about $1 million on the tax rolls. You've talked about when you were introducing it the other day, I believe.
It's all about money. It's unbelievable that this means nothing to these people. This means absolutely nothing to them. Like this.
3
It's unbelievable. Let me
of the
find
8 lots.
where I am on the screen.
5 other lots are to be vested in the town.
And I actually
First,
stood outside
also
the library
lease agreement, and then upon
for a while.
subdivision approval, Calverton Aviation Technology would get title to their portion of the property, and the town would have title.
So
It's
nobody's
fine.
talking about the Pine Barrens.
So
Nobody.
the IDA.
Nobody's
is going
talking about
to
the Pine
set
Barrens. It's
the
unbelievable.
parameters of the lease agreement. With
This is the
respect
kind of
to
stuff
the
that makes me think if I have a future on
town's
Long Island or not.
we identified
Because I can't live
in the
somewhere where they don't value the
resolutions
Pine
very
Barrens.
clearly that as to those lots, we must maintain control and use for the public benefit.
Okay.
Because essentially, all of our lots are really for the public benefit. We have the Grumman
Public
Memorial
beneficent.
Park, we have Veterans Memorial Park.
Thank you.
All right, I should be up right next. But I had to hit. That's me.
John, I think you're on mute.
I have to get myself unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. A lot of the speakers spoke about a lot of things, but nobody's brought up what we could lose. And I have very big concerns about the Pine Barrens that are going to be affected by this. I was looking at the diagrams of where the development would be, particularly on the north end of the west runway. There are stands of pure pitch pine forest. This is a very important ecosystem in the Pine Barrens, and I'm very concerned that developing this could. We've lost a lot of Pine Barrens on Long Island. This is one of the largest areas left of the Pine Barrens that still is up for grabs. And I think I'm asking you to make sure that those pines are protected, because if they are destroyed, it's going to have a very negative impact on the wildlife, the ecosystem. I mean, I walk in that area. It's absolutely beautiful. If you've ever been there, you know it's absolutely beautiful. We can't lose this beautiful, beautiful space. in my opinion. Honestly, I know that I was listening to a lot of you said about the fact that it has to be, economic development stuff. But when Grumman was there, they never touched those woods. So why should we touch those woods now? That's my comment.
So, John, if I may, so going back in time and prior to transfer, the United States Navy owned about 10,000 acres. Of that 10,000 acres, over 1,000 acres of the 10,000 site was donated to the Calverton National Cemetery.
Okay.
In addition, approximately 2,935 acres were donated to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for wildlife management. And then the remainder of the property was transferred to the town of Riverhead for economic development.
Okay.
But directly to your comment, as to the town-owned property received from the Navy, the town, in its final supplemental generic environmental impact statement, is preserving existing woodland of 787.3 acres and grassland of approximately 580 acres. In addition, the core Pine Barrens parcel, we call it Lot 1 on the 8-lot subdivision map, will be also preserved in perpetuity.
Okay, where is that on the map exactly?
That is
is
to
that
the
the area I was
west
describing?
of the western runway, and towards, in part, the bottom area that you described. In addition, John, there is a tiger salamander pond just at the end of the western runway, which
Okay.
also contains woodland known as Lot 8 on the map.
Okay.
That lot will also be preserved.
Okay.
So from what I'm describing to everybody, all members of the public, there is a significant amount of preservation. And in the resolution and letter agreement, we continue and repeat and require it as a condition that those preservation goals be fulfilled.
Yeah, because that's a beautiful area. If you walk along that north end, it's absolutely beautiful. There's like a little, the grasslands meet the pines, and this area just nothing but pines. It's absolutely spectacular. I don't want to see Pine Barrens lost, I don't want to see any more Pine Barrens lost.
Correct.
You know?
I assure everyone, the core Pine Barrens area, what, 200 and,
Just about 300 acres.
yeah, it's,
It's like 400 acres, I think.
no, it's about, it's at least approximately 300 acres.
So I'm just going to stop it right here. And she says the core preservation. And the problem is part of that is not in the core preservation area, but it's still Pine Barrens. It just shows how weak our Pine Barrens Act is compared to New Jersey's. But you see, they're not answering my question. So, well, I'm going to play some more.
And I
At
will
least they
tell,
could-
go ahead.
I will say that maybe they can clarify things on the map as to what areas will be sold to the developer, what areas could be developed as far as, removal of vegetation, so people know, because right now, there's no real map to explain all that. At least I haven't seen any.
It's all online, John. It's actually online.
On the
If you
town's
go
website.
to Town of Riverhead, go to the
I've
bottom.
seen the map that has all those, looks like buildings put on all the north end of the runway. That's all Pine Barrens over there.
No, John, you can go online, Town of Riverhead, Riverhead at a glance, quick links, scroll down to EPCAL development, click, and if you go into the most recent updated consistency analysis, March 26th of 2020,
Okay.
and you will see, go to the appendix, you'll see a list of exhibits. In those
Okay.
exhibits, you will see preserved areas for maps of preserved areas for every kind of habitat, whether it's tiger, salamander, short-eared bats. Am I saying that right or wrong? Long-eared, short-eared bats? Short-eared bats, grassland birds, you'll see it.
Yeah, but all right, I'm going to look for it, but I'm just trying to get a clear answer as to the area that I'm talking about on the north end, the northern part of the western runway, from Route 25 down is Pine Barrens, or, is that area going to be destroyed?
Yeah, so John, Frank just made it clear, it's really the DEC who directs the areas of preservation.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would have to address the DEC.
Well, the areas that are shown as being preserved on all of EPCAL property is at the direction, wasn't our choice, or we were working with the DEC, but the DEC was telling us, you need to preserve X number of acres of grassland. We want it over here. We want you to take care of the pine trees, whatever it was. The endangered species, the habitats were all identified by the DEC. In fact, of the 1,600 acres or so that CAT would be leased under this project, the program we're doing now, over 1,000 of those acres are in those areas that must be preserved.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to look at the map. I just wanted to know if that area that I'm talking about is in that preservation area, but I guess I have to look at the
you
map.
have to
here
take
for
Yeah,
the
and
answer.
John, if you have any difficulty, you can just email me.
I will.
Okay,
Okay, I have to go now, but thank you for answering my questions.
sure.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Phil Barbato.
All right. So there you go. That was and you could see they would not answer if that area was involved. And they don't seem to get when I say Pine Barrens that I mean Pine Barrens, not just the core preservation area, but anywhere there is forest where pitch pines or the dominant species are Pine Barrens. All right. Such as this. All right. So we're now going to look at the map and development right now on the website here. All right. And I wrote down what she said so we can look at these things here. And she said, go to the March 8th, 2021 updated consist analysis. All right. So we see consistency analysis. That's October 12th, 2020. We got to find the one for March 8th, 2021. So let's see if we can find March 8th, 2021 on here. Let's see if we can find March 8th, 2021. Funny, I can't find it. I have the latest one here. I don't see March 8th, 2021 here. You see March 3rd, I see 5/3, I see... And then they say, look at the exhibits. So look at the exhibits. So those are the exhibits that we have access to. This is October 12th, 2020. So you see, it's very complicated and confusing. These are some of the maps they have. They mapped out some of the lakes. I'm just showing you some of these exhibits again. C. None of them show preservation of the area I was walking in. D. These are habitat maps. But again, nobody is showing what is preserved and what is not. Here's Exhibit H. So the lots they mentioned as being preserved was 1, that's this one, and 8, that's this one. But 6 is the lot I'm talking about. And they don't mention anything about 6, because we all know that 6 is going to be destroyed. All right? That's the one we were looking at before. Okay. All right, I'll go through all of these. All right. And then they say, oh, well, it's the DEC that's deciding these things. Okay, this is one of the maps here. Those are some old maps there. So you have Exhibit A. It's very confusing to understand what is going on here. And I still don't understand. I guess I can email that woman. But I could tell her I'll know the lot that it's involved, and that's lot 6, according to that map. So they're talking about short-eared owl. And again, if you mess with these lots, it's... Let's see some more of these exhibits here. Z, X, West Runway grasslands looking southeast. Yep, these are the areas I'm talking about here. There's some pictures in here. Look at V. Tiger salamander. That's that lake. Exhibit U. We already did that one already. T. Northern long-eared bat. I couldn't even pronounce these. But don't you think if you destroy any of that, it's going to impact these creatures? They don't see that. They don't even have this. This is another exhibit here. Tell me how this explains anything. How this explained. Here's Q. All right, see. 6, they marked this as blue. That light blue, which is forest, I believe. It should be forest here. Light blue should be coded as pitch pine oak forest. Go to P. So we're basically looking for any maps that explain. All right, this is another map and plan. All right, maybe this is the one that we need. Or that's just sewers again. Yeah, they want to put sewers in here. That's gonna Appendix A. So look at all the stuff they want to do. All right, it's horrible. The DEC signs off on some of this stuff because they're corrupt too. New Jersey would never allow this to go forward. All right, so these are some of the how am I just want to know what's being destroyed, what you plan on destroying and what you don't plan on destroying. But they won't tell me that because they want to destroy a whole lot and they want to pull the wool over our eyes. Here's another map. All right, the areas that are... All right, let's see. And of course, it's like in the wrong... So you're going to have to see this is the west, and this is north. To your right is north, to your left is south. All right? The area we're walking is over here. All right? And it says subprime quality woods. High quality woods. I don't know if that's high quality woods or subprime quality woods. But again, it doesn't show you... All right, this shows town parcels. So you see, this is where the town... They're talking about this other end here that they're going to preserve. But the lot is going to be lost. So these are the lots here they want to do. Town parcels. FSGS preserved area A, and A is an F. So this is where it's going to be preserved. But the rest is going to be up for development. See, there you go. This is the map that shows what we're talking about here. This map right here. Look at all those buildings they're going to build on top of that beautiful area that we were walking in. They're trying to fool you into thinking that they're going to preserve this when they're not going to preserve that much. We can't afford to lose any more Pine Barrens on Long Island. But they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it at all. And that's the problem. And like I said, if we lose this and this actually comes to fruition, then it's a real big loss in the war here. And it really makes me think, do I even have a future on Long Island anymore if they're so in love with money here that they'll destroy this? They're so in love with money, they'll destroy this. If you're so in love with money, you're going to destroy this, then this isn't the place for me to live anymore. That's pretty obvious. And I'm going to have to live in New Jersey, where at least they care about their Pine Barrens. And they don't get it. Well, Pine Barrens is where these trees grow. All right? If you walk around and you see these trees, then you are in Pine Barrens. So that's been the latest news on the EPCAL. It was a lengthy video, but I had to talk about it. And I'm going to try to get there while I still can. I'm trying to get to all these places on Long Island while I still can. Because at the rate things going, I may not be living here next year. I may not be living here. This may be my last birthday. Birthday is coming up soon on Long Island. This may be my last birthday on Long Island. It pains me to say that. Between the crime, between all the problems going on, the discrimination, and most of all, the destruction of the Pine Barrens, I could live in Toms River and look at all these Pine Barrens I have all around me. Look at all these Pine Barrens that I can explore. Look at all these Pine Barrens. That's all preserved. All of this you see here. All of this is preserved. A few small developments here, but other than that, it's all preserved. And you even have some pines east of the parkway, too, that are preserved. This is an old former sand mine. So if this was Long Island, they would develop that. But no, that's a preserve. That's an Ocean County preserve. I could live there, or I could live on Long Island where the Pine Barrens are this little small area here, and that's it. All right? And then this area here is going to be ruined. You know? And ironically, the parts of the Pine Barrens that are going to be preserved the most, like West Hampton, that's on the South Shore where I'm not allowed to live. So, yeah, this hurts a lot. But I'm going to keep fighting. But if I lose these Pine Barrens, if we lose this, I'm done here. I think I'm done here. If we lose this, I'm done here. If Long Islanders can't get together and stop this, then it shows Long Island is not the place for me. That the people that live here now love money so much, they love it more than the beauty of nature. That's not the place I want to live. That's not the place where I belong. If they love money more than this, then this isn't the place for me anymore. We're gonna find out pretty soon if this is gone, I'm gone.